My name is Heath with Yak Tribe, and today I'll be doing an exclusive interview with Luther and Dave from YakAttack on the current state and the future of YakAttack. Now, before we get started, as most of you guys know, Yak Tribe is not tied to any brand, to any company, and that's for a very specific reason. I believe that if we do have some sort of exclusivity with some of these companies in the industry, that our brand, our word, and our stories would be devalued. The kayak fishing community doesn't want another bought and paid for brand. They want the real, unfiltered truth about products, companies, tournaments, and anything revolving around kayak fishing. My name is Heath with Yak Tribe, and today I'm sitting down in an exclusive interview with Luther and with Dave. Guys, thank you so much for being here. Today we're grateful to be sitting down with YakAttack, who has been a cornerstone in American-made kayak fishing gear for years. And it's an honor to be here with you guys. Many of you guys already know Luther, but Luther, introduce us to Dave.
Sure. So, YakAttack, I'm a builder, I'm a creator, I'm a problem solver, and frankly, YakAttack got to be a bigger business and a more complex business from the business side than what I was comfortable in and what I thought that I could be effective in. So we searched the country. I mean, we literally searched the country for the best leader for that business. That was somebody that, I knew that shared the values that we have at YakAttack, but that had the industry experience and the connections and the contacts to pursue, taking this brand from, a small niche kind of boutique brand to a true national powerhouse. And that's when we found Dave. And Dave can tell about his background better than I can. What I can say is that he's one of the most wonderful human beings I've ever known. He's become one of my best friends in this world. And I trust him with YakAttack the same way that I would trust him with, my wallet or anything else. So he's just a wonderful guy.
Well, you sound like it, Dave. Dave, tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit of your background. And
Sure. I've spent my whole life in the industry. So I grew up here, literally grew up at Penn Reel and fixing machines in high school and started sweeping the floor, and ended up going back to Penn Reel after college. By the time I was 30, became CFO and CEO of the business. And so I had a really incredible opportunity to run Penn with incredible people. And that really gave me a broad perspective on the industry, the business, manufacturing, tooling, sourcing, all of it. And so I did that. And then after we sold Penn, I went to Zebco and ran engineering and manufacturing for them. So oversaw all the engineering team for the brands from Zebco, Quantum, Fenor, Van Staal, Luz, and eventually ended up at Big Rock Sports as a partner there, where for a time I was the fishing division president and ran the brands that Big Rock owned. And so I left there when it was sold a couple years ago, and that's when Luther and I found each other, and I just fell in love with YakAttack. The whole approach that Luther's had to the business and innovation, the team there, it's incredible to be able to be back in U.S. manufacturing for me and have just an incredible team to work with. And Luther's been incredibly supportive. So, yeah, it's exciting time.
Well, Dave, it is nice to meet you, and it seems like I didn't even know this, but man, you were really a part of my childhood fishing experience, man. You really built a lot of these industries up. So, man, yeah, it is nice to meet you.
Thank you. Yeah, I realize this is my 26th consecutive iCast show, and so now I'm the old guy. So.
So let's rewind for a little bit. For those who are newer to the scene, what are some things that YakAttack has stood for since day one?
For me, it's always been about jobs and opportunity. I started my life very, very humble beginnings, growing up around farms, and I worked on farms since I was 10 years old. I was homeschooled, didn't finish homeschool. That wasn't the best decision, but nonetheless, I started life really with no real advantages, and the ecosystem that I found in a manufacturing company just absolutely turned my life around. And I felt blessed and privileged to have had that opportunity, and the more that I learned, the more that I saw that it would be possible for me to help create that opportunity for others. And that was really those were the defining values when YakAttack was first started. At the time, we were happy to be relevant in kayak fishing lights in 5 years. That was the 5-year plan. But it was really never about the products as much as it was about trying to make some really cool stuff for the industry and create an opportunity for our friends and neighbors at the same time.
So why was American made such a central part of your identity?
Well, one of the things that's really unique about YakAttack is it doesn't matter who you are, there's probably something for you in that business. I mean, a lot of people don't realize this, but in our four walls, we conceptualize the products, we design the products, we prototype them, we build the tooling. I mean, nobody in the country does this. We build the tooling, we manufacture the products, we assemble them, we ship them out the door. So, you know, when I talk about creating an ecosystem of opportunity, when you're doing all of those disciplines, there's just something for everybody. So again, for me, the more that we could do in-house, the more vertically integrated we are, the more impact we can have on our community, and the more that we can control kind of the brand and the culture.
So recently, YakAttack has released some products that have been manufactured overseas, and it may have taken some people by surprise in the kayak fishing industry. Can you walk us through what kind of led you guys to making that decision?
Let me take this today.
Sure, I'll jump in too.
Yeah, I mean, so I can tell. I'll tell you from my standpoint is, again, this for us, this has always been about creating jobs and opportunity. And I came into this space without knowing anyone or anything in this space. So we've always done what we can with what we have. But as the brand has grown, I mean, if you look throughout our product line, there are glaring gaps that we haven't filled strictly because nobody does it in the U.S. I mean, nobody is making trolling motors in the United States. You know, nobody's making, electronics in the United States, cut and sew stuff. So we didn't have the contacts, we didn't have the expertise to pursue it. But the reality is, serving those categories with our innovation, regardless of where the products are made, it's an opportunity for us to continue to do what we've done from the beginning, which is to help drive this sport forward. I think what's important for people to know is that not only are we still doing everything in the U.S. that we were before, we're doing a lot more of it. And part of that is because as we grow this brand, as we fill out our product line, we get better placement in stores, we get more opportunities, which brings everything else along with it. So, we live in a land of dichotomies, right? It's either Cowboys or the Redskins. We're always A or B. But sometimes the truth is really in the middle. And in this case, this is a story I've wanted to tell since we first had our conversation about how to navigate the business and get it scaled and expanded. And this is a great opportunity to do it because I really would like for people to know out there. There's no values. One of the things I love about Dave and one of the things I love about our financial partners is they share my vision and passion for manufacturing in the U.S.
Yeah, I would just add to that, we have a rule in the business is that if we can make it, we will make it.
Yes.
There's period, no question. But, we're super users. We love the product. We're building product we want to use. And we've got ideas on how to bring some innovation and details to these other categories we can't make in-house. Like the world doesn't need another pair of fishing pliers, but what they could use is a 110-gram plier with a built-in retractor in the sheath, so you're no longer having lanyards all over the boat and all those things. So we're putting little touches and details into the product that we're even doing outside that make it YakAttack, that's specifically with a kayak angler in mind. And so, from my mind, I've watched brands in this building at ICAST who have gone off the rails into categories they have no business being in. But, YakAttack is much more than, molded parts for kayaks. We should be in all the accessories. We live it. We love it. You guys out there are our partners, our consumers, are part of our family. And so we want to bring our innovation across the board for everything kayak.
Right. And so you guys have seen, I'm sure, some of the concerns on social media. I mean, they're out there. People are at ICAST right now, and they're posting a ton of videos. And, people always have something to say, of course. How have some of those concerns impacted YakAttack at this point?
I mean, at the show here, we're trying to set the record straight on kind of what's really going on. But look, I always knew that these concerns would come up because we've built our business on manufacturing in the U.S. and we've been very front and center about that. And again, I chose my financial partners in large part because of their not just willingness to, but their excitement about continuing to manufacture. I mean, what we've created at our plant, it's very unusual. I mean, there's other companies that manufacture in the U.S., but that are so vertically integrated that everything is done in four walls, including tooling. This is a huge advantage for us, and that is a product of this commitment to manufacturing in the USA. But here's the thing: in the beginning, we didn't make our own gear tracks. They were in the U.S. because we were so tiny, the volume, you couldn't, they would put them in an envelope from China, right? But I mean, we couldn't make those in our factory. We didn't have the resources or the skill set to do that. Eventually, we got our volume up. We bought the machines. We created some jobs in our factory. There's story after story after story of things like that we used to subcontract tooling. We didn't make tooling in the beginning. Others made tooling. Pretty much every brand probably in this building, no matter whether they're made in the USA or not, they don't make their tooling in the USA. It's made in Asia. All of it's made in Asia. So what we're doing is, to me, it's really special and it's really cool. But again, it's more about getting the truth out to the industry than anything. Dave and I talked about before this interview. I'm like, well, the good news is there's nothing we can say that's true that's going to damage our reputation, because what we're doing is the right thing, just like we always have.
Right. And so you mentioned, before I move on to the next question, you mentioned that you wanted to set the record straight, right? Yeah. What does that mean?
I think in particular, like, we came here and launched our new kayak motor with GPS control. And, people have thrown shade on it, saying we went shopping in China and put our badge on something. But, that's the farthest thing from the truth. The factory we're working with is a joint venture with us. It's a factory I've known for 22 years, highly invested our resources over the years into them to build them up. They've built trolling motors for some famous American brands, and I think they told me they've built now over 3 million units of trolling motors over the last 15 years. And so they're a legitimate player, and very close with them. And so when I joined YakAttack, one of the first phone calls I made was to them, seeing what was happening with power in the industry. We really saw an opportunity for YakAttack to build purpose-specific motors, to be innovative, nimble, and really make some changes that are practical for the angler. And so that's what we've done. So, we're never going to build those in-house, and we're never going to build them in the U.S., but we've got a world-class partner that's engaged with us, that's truly innovative, allowing us to come to them with our ideas and innovations to incorporate in the motors. And I think, the consumers here are going to find a great value and great quality that we stand behind, and we're going to continue to innovate. We have more motors coming. We're serious about the category. We're here to win, not, so it's a serious piece of business for us, and it's frustrating when people who don't understand anything about it are trying to define what we're doing. And so for us, I think it's an example of us moving into a category we should be in. We should drive innovation and propulsion. That fits with YakAttack's culture and what we do. And so, we're serious about it, and it really makes sense for us. So.
Right. And I want to just talk about that motor just for a second, since we're on that topic, right? And some of the concerns people might have. You say you stand behind that product, right? So is there going to be like warranties behind it? Is there going to?
Of course, we're going to repair them. We'll have warranties to cover it, like YakAttack has. We'll repair motors, replace motors here. Once we have ourselves up and running, we'll create warranty stations and repair centers. I've been in the business of international reels and repair centers and parts, and I really understand that service element of it. Luther does as well. And so, we'll stand behind our product like we do with everything else.
Right, of course, yeah.
Yeah, we wouldn't choose a vendor or a product that we couldn't stand by.
Right, exactly. Luther, I've been following you now for probably close to 8 or 9 years, right? And watched your entire journey, watched how you invented products, and it was always an inspiration, for many, many people, guys. And I know we talk about being indifferent, and I can be, I can be objective and still give a compliment, man. So really, it's really cool to sit next to you and have this interview. But I do want to ask and create some space for the people who loyally follow YakAttack, and specifically your journey, your guys' journey, right? What would you say to the fan base and to the kayak fishermen that might have some real and even some strong feelings about, the shift and how the company is growing?
I'll take this one. So first off, I can't tell you how much I appreciate the opportunity this space has given me. Starting YakAttack in my buddy's basement, next to his lawnmower and, weed eater, with $1,200 back in 2009. I never had any idea that it would lead to this. And so for the people out there who've supported us from the beginning and the ones who came along the way, I can't tell you how much that's appreciated. Look, my attitude about life has been that, God gives us opportunities and resources, and our job is to be good stewards of them. And I think I was aware enough to know when the business had outgrown me, and it had. And believe me, it had. I wasn't having fun anymore. I couldn't innovate anymore. I couldn't do the things that I love to do anymore. And not only that, but I wasn't doing as good of a job at the other stuff as somebody who's passionate about it could. So I got out of the way when I thought it was the right time to get out of at least running the business. I'm still involved, still talk to the product development team every week, still help with all of that. But I hope the people who trusted me along the way can also recognize that I very, very carefully chose private equity partners that would not wreck our brand, wreck our factory, or abandon our employees. And then we worked really, really, really hard to hire the right person to run the business that would continue the vision and that believed in the same things that I believe in. So, if they trusted me up to this point, I hope they would trust me beyond this. I mean, look, I don't make every decision every day, and you can I don't care how like-minded, you can put 10 people in a room, and there's going to be differences in final decisions they make. Fortunately, in this case, most of the decisions that Dave makes is different than the ones I would make, is coming from an informed perspective. He knows what he's doing. But the core value is something that we talk about on a regular basis, and we've never stopped talking about. I just want to share one more thing. It's just very unusual. When people think about private equity, there's two types of stories. There's the stories that you hear about, which are the ones where private equity comes in, destroys a business. We've seen that happen. We've seen that happen in a major way here in the last few years in our industry, with one of the major players, and we've seen it with others over the years. But the private equity stories you never hear about are the ones where the founder takes the business as far as they can. They find the right partner. The right partner gets involved, embraces and scales those values, widens the impact, widens everything that business ever did that was good, and does more of it. And when I chose the partners, the reason that I chose them was because the principal, the guy that I was dealing with when I did that deal, he didn't just look at the bullet points and the numbers. He looked at all that and he pushed it to the side and he said, the business I think you really have here, you have a vertically integrated solutions company. Your best asset is maybe your factory and not your brand. Yep. I mean, from a private, you'd have to be in this space to understand the impact of a private equity person saying that. So he recognized the value we had created in our team, in our process, in our factory, in Farmville, in small town America, and wanted to, how can we scale that? How can we build on that? And now, 4 years later, we've never compromised any of that. The only thing we've done is we've gone after new opportunities that we didn't have the resources or the connections or the availability to do before. But look, I don't care how American made any brand is. Your stainless steel hardware is coming from overseas. If you have anything electronic, it's coming from, there's those little things. So what I would say is, don't listen to look, everybody comes out to these shows and wants to be the first one to find a piece of information or expose a scandal or create a scandal as it often is.
Or create a scandal.
And I've been involved with those. I've had those happen to me when we launched Bonafide. Believe me, everybody had to have a piece of that story because we were a freight train. And they wanted to latch on, even if it meant, being unfair to us. So the proof is in the pudding there.
Right.
It's another great example. When I merged Bonafide, I merged it with Big Adventures. Look what they've done with that brand. I handed that brand off the right way, I believe. I handed this brand off, the control of this brand. I'm still an owner in the business. I'm still invested in this business. But I think I handed control of that off in the right way as well. And, I can't always say that everything's going to always go exactly the way that we want it to. But frankly, so far it's went better than I hoped.
Right. And Dave, I want to give you an opportunity to speak as well as you stepped into this space to talk to the people directly.
Sure. When I got here 2 years ago, my perception was, YakAttack was this innovative, product-driven company. And in one sense, we really are. But what I've really come to learn is we're a customer-driven company. And so the things that drive us are providing solutions to you guys that enable you to catch more fish, have a better time on the water, be safer, be more comfortable. And so, that continues to drive us. Our owners are supportive of that perspective. The bottom line is not what drives our decisions. What's driving our decision is building this business, filling out solutions for you guys. And, I can tell you, you're at the front of our mind. We take your opinions seriously. I ask that you judge us by the product we put out, not the rumors you hear. And, we ask ourselves every day, and I ask myself every day, would Luther be proud of the decision we make? And are we doing the right thing by people, our employees, our suppliers, our partners, our customers? And that's what really drives our business. So, yeah, I'm really excited to be here. I love this industry. I love the passion and that you guys all give to the sport and to our brand, and it's a privilege for me to be part of this. So thank you.
So after speaking to you guys and really getting a lot of clarity around where you guys are going, where you've been, and I've even learned. I've been in the industry for just a little over a decade myself, and I'm learning. I'm picking up all types of stuff and learning. So again, I appreciate the information. A lot of this information that has gone out, it's easy at iCast or on social media. I deal with this too, as we put out content and are constantly creating, but we'll put something out, and it's really easy for an influencer or somebody or just people to come along and maybe not fully grasp or understand what's going on even internally in a business and speculate. Is that a liability for you guys?
I'll take this. Well, no, I think, look, the definition of integrity is doing the right thing even when no one's looking. So when you're doing the right things, any opportunity to talk about it is a positive. So for me, it's actually, this has created an opportunity to have a conversation that I've been wanting to have for some time. I knew that there would be people who would, look, when you look at the signs that everybody can see, okay, the business ownership dynamic has changed. There's a new CEO, and now there's products from Asia. People have this template in their head about what private equity is going to do to a business. And we've seen that happen with a lot of businesses where it really is that. And usually that doesn't go well for the brand or for the industry. So for us, realizing that would be easy for someone to perceive, it's really important to be able to tell what's really going on. And look, I've spent my entire time in this sport from day one being transparent and saying it like it is. This is no different. This is how it is. Dave mentioned that, when he makes decisions, he wants to make sure that they're decisions that we would be proud of and that kind of fit the identity of YakAttack. I can tell you, every time we sit down and talk, he asks me that question. And if ever I feel like it's not, I tell him, or I would tell him. So far I haven't had to, but I absolutely would. And frankly, if that time ever came, I would continue to be transparent with the industry as well. So, no, I think, look, everybody thinks differently about this stuff. The Lord works in mysterious ways. His wonders do perform. This is a conversation I've been trying to figure out how to have, and here we are with an opportunity to have it. So for the people who kicked this off, I have nothing but a little bit of appreciation.
So Dave, what message do you hope that this interview sends to the kayak fishing community and your guys' community as well?
Yeah, I think, one thing I'd leave you with is that YakAttack is the same business that you have had passion about, that you've invested in, that our culture, our soul remains the same. And we're going to continue to drive innovation across lots of categories. And we're going to drive it where we can find it and, try and create a platform that really solves all the problems that an angler has today in their boat. So, I appreciate this opportunity, to talk to you, Heath, and the Yak Tribe, and allow Luther and I to talk to you, your followers about what's really happening with the business. I invite, your followers to come and, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram. You can always reach out to me, talk to me. I'm engaged with our customers, and so if you have a strong opinion, you have a question, ask us. We'd be glad to engage and be part of this. We're not off in an ivory tower. We got, our sleeves are rolled up every day working in the factory and dealing with our customers. And so I just want, your followers to know we're real people, and we want to hear from them, and we'll engage with them. So
awesome. Well, our Yak Tribe slogan since 2015 has been real people, real stories, real connections. Yeah. It's all about the real. Behind every company, behind every screen, behind every microphone are real people. Yeah. They're real people with real lives. And so to tell those stories is what we try and do. So
in this industry, and for me, my whole career is relationships matter. And so that doesn't mean, with other businesses necessarily or our customers, it really matters with our consumers and our users. And so we value that highly.
Right. Well, Luther, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Dave, thank you so much as well. At Yak Tribe, we believe in real people, real stories, real connections. And I want to say thank you to all of our members over the years since 2015 who have supported our brand and our channel. And even me personally, guys, you are amazing. From living on the road in 2017 for a few years and traveling all around the US and doing our best to build the kayak fishing community and doing meetups everywhere. It's been so nice walking around, even ICAST 2025, and catching up with so many of you guys. It's an honor to know you, to be in this position, to know that you guys watch our content. We really are grateful. At Yak Tribe, we believe in conversation over cancellation, so we will be traveling all over the United States, meeting with companies just like this and going behind the scenes. We have some really exciting companies and stories to bring you here soon, so make sure you stay tuned. Today's talk with YakAttack shows that transparency still matters. We'll keep showing up with honest stories, tough questions, and community-first based content. Let's keep growing together, both on and off the water. I'll catch you guys in the next video.